We have two presidential candidates who both support charter schools, a governor who's running this readiness program based on the success of charter schools.
Right, in many states, charter schools are not funded like they are here. They're funded much more equitably, you know, where they don't take money away from districts, they come from the state. They're more on the Horace Mann model, which doesn't
We have Horace Mann models in
right,
the
but
state too.
for whatever reason people don't like it, understandably maybe, but other states, their charter schools are not this model, which is basically robbing a lot of kids to benefit a few kids. Very difficult to get my mind around. It's hard to.
Well, I honestly, I think that's actually incorrect mathematically. It's just arithmetically not exactly what happens. What really happens is the money that would go to pay to educate those children goes with those children. And actually, once again, a little less money than the district actually pays to educate all the other children. And in fact, we're going to put some myths and facts up on the website. Charter schools generally tend to increase the total amount spent per student. Yes, sir.
I wasn't intending to speak at all tonight. I came to listen. But given the financial facts that have been presented, have grossly underestimated the funds to be received by the charter school, would the trustees please check with the department tomorrow? The figure is over 10,800. It includes a nominal amount for the amount which is spent on capital across the state. The charter schools receive more. I'd be grateful if you would put something on your website that provides the accurate information. Thank you.
Well, we actually, yeah, go ahead, Kate. You want to answer that?
I would love to speak to that. So I'm going to stand up here. I saw a number quoted that was $10,088 per pupil. That number appears in the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education as a charter school amount for a Gloucester sending district. That is an amount based on Gloucester sending 3 pupils to a charter school in Marblehead. And when calculating that fee, it takes into account the situation of the sending district, Gloucester, and the receiving district, in that case, Marblehead. We have very carefully calculated the data for sending from Gloucester to a charter school in Gloucester. The people at the Department of Education, Elementary and Secondary Education, know me by name and by email. I'm quite certain of our figures. And we have taken into account the facilities amount that you described. It is no longer a average of the amount spent on facilities across the state. That has been replaced by a fixed fee per student of $897 per pupil. Taking that into account, with the projected enrollment by grade by year and some conservative estimates of our low-income students, English language learners, and SPED students, we are pretty confident that the figure will be under $9,000 in the first year.
And it will probably go down after that. Is that correct?
It depends on the foundation rate and many other things, and I don't want to say that.
Okay.
But this is data from October of '07 that the DOE has, that we're using for foundation.
Sorry, you're right. I'm basing my foundation rate on an October 06 published fiscal year 07 data. But it's...
Could I just advise you to call them? I have spoken to them. I've given you the figure they gave me.
Thank you.
Thanks. Also, before we go farther, I was recognizing and honoring the public officials. Senator Tires just joined us. Thank you for making it in your very busy schedule. I know that you were elsewhere earlier today. Yes?
Well, I had two things actually. So we keep referring to the readiness project, but my understanding was that the charter school, Horace Mann school, alternative schools, is a small component of the governor's readiness project.
You know, I don't know an awful lot. Right. No, what has been made fairly clear by the governor himself, I believe, is that the impetus for creating the readiness project was as the result of the successes of the charter schools and the pilot schools in the state. And it's not that it's going to encompass them, and I don't even know exactly all of the details of it, but it was their success that sparked the idea, is what I understand, is what he said in the press. I don't know him personally. I haven't talked to him about this, but this is what I've read.
The question I really wanted to ask.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my head around the idea that it's like school choice, but without leaving the district. And I'm trying to understand how, and I don't know if I think this is a good idea or not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to learn more from some of the people about it. How is it different from school choice other than the physical location of the school?
Well, that's a great question.
How is it different?
Well,
we had 240 students choice out to, I don't know, Essex.
Yeah.
How is this different other than that the building is sitting here in Gloucester? It sounds as though we're on the hook for the transportation as well.
Yeah, it's really not a lot different. You're right. The main difference is that the building is in Gloucester, and we hope it's downtown Gloucester. But there is one difference financially, which is that when someone choices out to Rockport or Manchester or Ipswich, there's a cap on the total amount that's deducted from the district that sends to pay the district that receives. And that cap is right now at $5,000. That cap doesn't apply to the amount of money subtracted from the district to send to the charter school. So it'll be whatever it is, and as Kate said, they're going to calculate this foundation rate every year. We can't know exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to be around $9,000 and change the first year. But of course, the first year the district doesn't pay anything. Now the other difference is that it is true that the district is responsible for transporting the children that choice in to a charter school. But that's no different from, being responsible for transporting children that are going to school in Gloucester. And they're responsible for the transportation because it's physically here, it's physically in Gloucester. If as a result of the overcrowding and the new people moving in, Gloucester opened up another school, they would be responsible to transport the children to that school too. See, so that's where that comes from. And that's one of the reasons that we're talking right now with the school committee about how do we make this work so that cost of transportation is minimized. And there are lots of ways to do that.
School choice is not open to everybody. School choice is limited by what they have. This is open to everybody. It's a full lottery. If everybody wanted to sign up, everybody's name goes in and you're drawn from there. Also, it keeps...
students from other districts?
No, it will not. If we do not have full enrollment from Gloucester residents, then at that point afterwards, you could have an additional lottery for other regions. But it would only if we still had open spaces after everybody that wanted to go from Gloucester were there. Also, it keeps kids in the Gloucester public schools. They will stay and go to the high school. A lot of people's choice out at different points of time along in their education. And then they don't tend to come back. They stay where they are. So it keeps people here, it keeps kids in schools, it keeps them, and it gets them going to Gloucester, and they're civically engaged, and they're good students, and we want to keep all of our kids where we live.
Yes?
I just want to make a comment. I feel like what we don't often recognize about education are two things. One, it's a marketplace. It's a publicly funded system, but there's competition in that system. With or without a charter school in the city of Gloucester, there's lots of competition for where parents choose to live. One of the biggest issues in their choice of living is the quality of the schools and the opportunity that that location provides in terms of education. There's already enormous competition for education and for the commitment that parents make to their children's education and to the resources that we contribute through our tax dollars to education. Having a charter, a different opportunity, is just adding one more choice to this area in a marketplace where there already is a lot of choice. There's St. Anne's, there's St. Mel's, there's the public schools in Gloucester. There are the other communities around us that are perceived as better than the city of Gloucester. I mean, I grew up here. I was educated here. I brought my child back here in second grade, and I had her education.